Hi everybody, this is Bridget from SpeechTherapyTalk.com. Welcome. Thank you for tuning in. I am a speech language pathologist and I am here to give you tips on how to use the game Hedbanz to work with any child on any speech, language, social skill, voice, any communication goal. You can use Hedbanz at almost any age as well. So I'm going to walk you through how to use this game and how you can adapt it to what your child needs. Now, if you have any questions, of course, leave a comment here. I will check the comments here, or you could head over to SpeechTherapyTalk.com. The link will be below in the comments. You can ask a question or explore a lot of other free resources that I have for you guys. Really quick, I'll go through how we use this game. Now, I rarely use the game how it's intended. You can find this game Hedbanz at Target, Amazon, garage sales, resale shops, pretty much anywhere that sells kids games will have this game. But quickly, how you actually play this game, every player gets a little headband like this. They pick a card like this, put it on your head, and then they ask the other players who are playing, they don't see this card. They have no idea. Like I have no idea I'm a paintbrush. Then you ask other players playing the game, am I a food? People will say yes or no. You know, you ask yes, no questions, and then by the answers other people give you, you guess what you are. Okay, simple. Now, I rarely play the game that way. I almost always change how I play it so I can work on a child's specific goals and support them how they need to be supported. So first, I am going to go through what I do for a 1-year-old, 2-year-old, a child who's not talking yet. Okay, so if your child is not talking yet, if your child's just saying a few words and you want to work on expressive language, improving or increasing their expressive vocabulary, or even how they understand words, I'm going to walk you through some ideas now. So one of my favorite ones is I get out my little stuffed animal here and I have my cards. Now you don't want to just show these cards to children. So when you buy the game, you get a bunch of cards, okay? I don't want to just drill a 2-year-old. First of all, they're probably not going to do that. But what you can do is you can take this game and you can practice the word eat, which is a good word. The child can see how to say it. It's a vowel consonant. It's an easier word to say motorically. And you just grab a card, and a lot of these are food cards, so you could actually start with food, and you can play a game where you have the animal eats, the hamburger, eats, hamburger. You can work on the word eat. You can work on them just repeating the word yum, 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 or you can work on the actual word, or you can work on 2-word phrases, eat hamburger. Easy. Another way to play this is I might have like 3 cards. I have a car, bacon, and a hamburger. So I will flip them over. You can't see this, but I will flip them over on a table, and just a 2-year-old will pick them up. You know, I'll tell them, let's find bacon. No. Yay, bacon. You can work on having them follow directions for that. You can work on them saying yay. You could work on them just recognizing bacon in the picture, so a label for a picture, or they might get really excited about the game. You said bacon, they said bacon, bacon. That would be another way to work on expressive language, receptive language, following directions, you know, a whole sorts of things. So if a child's not talking yet, you're working on first words or combining words. Those are just 2 ideas for you to use. Okay, now we're moving on. We're moving on to our 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds who may be working on vocabulary or higher level language skills like categorization or function of vocabulary words. And this is what I would do for that. So you have a bunch of cards here. You could lay out all the cards. You could sort them into animals, into things found in a house, into food, into vehicles. You could sort them, and some children might enjoy doing that. Some children may not enjoy doing that. So another one that I do is I flip over a bunch of cards and I give them a category. So our category is clothes, kind of like memory. You pick a card, car, garbage, not clothes, French fries, garbage, not clothes. You take turns. Shirts, I pick shirt, that's clothes, and you get to keep the card. You get a point. With that game, it's working on categorization. It's working on simple naming of vocabulary words. And you don't have to do categorization. Maybe you're working on function. So let's find something that we use to eat. What do we eat with? Paintbrush, no. Money, no. Spoon. Oh, I use a spoon to eat. You work on categorization. But let's say your child's working on grammar. Like their goal is subject-verb agreement or verb-direct object or complete sentence. And one child's working on categorization. You can still do this game, but each turn you say something like, I found a shirt, give the carrier phrase or whatever the child's grammar goal is. That's what everyone has to say. That child's working on grammar. The other child's working on categorization. Or another one, if you want to play kind of how memory is played, you put a bunch of cards out. They have to flip over to, let's say the category is animals. They flip over an alligator, and then they have to find another card that's animal, and they flip over giraffe. They got a match. That's another way to work on categorization. At this age, I think that's good for our language. Those are just some fresh ideas for targeting language goals while playing headbands. Okay, so let's say you have a child who's 5, 6, 7, and they're working on vocabulary. They're working on asking questions, answering questions. This is where we're getting closer to how the game is played. I don't want to play yes/no questions yet because I need to teach the skills that when we define a vocabulary word, we want to consider the group that it belongs to. We want to consider what does it do, what does it look like, where do we find it, what's it made of. If you are a speech language pathologist, you might realize that I am talking about expanding expression tool. It's called EET. It's something speech pathologists use. Now, I use EET and headbands together all the time. You don't need to. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about, don't worry about it. I wrote on this trusty board here. Sorry, I only could find a green. And I have to write backwards. I'm super bad at that. So group is not looking too good. I'm going to fix it. It's hard to write backwards. Anyone tried that? Anyways, it's hard. Okay, group. Is that better? No, I don't know. I'm a hopeless case. Okay, so what I'm talking about here is I have a child pick up a card. So let's say this child picked up toaster. They have to go through, tell me what group does it belong to? What does it do? What does it look like? What is it made of? What are its different parts? Where do you find it? And they must relate it to something in their life. That part is important because it kind of pulls everything together and it starts to practice linking background knowledge to new words and how do we organize new vocabulary words. So let's run through it. I'm actually going to do it with you. Okay. Let's do this one. Okay. So this card, what group does it belong to? It is an animal. It walks. That's what it does. When you think about animals, think about different things they do. Like, do they fly? Do they walk? Do they crawl? Do they slither? Anything that's special of what they do. So these animals walk and they eat leaves. They look like. So let's talk about shape, color, and size. They are very tall. They are orange. They have red spots or dark orange, brown spots. they are made of. Now, made of is a little harder. If it was a thing, like an object, like a tire, I would say it's made of rubber. So I'm just going to describe that it has fur, different parts. It has a really, really long neck. It has 4 legs, where you see it at the zoo or in Africa. And this is my favorite animal to visit. And I saw one at the zoo just yesterday with my children. After all that, the other players guess. What is it? And if they can guess it correct, it's a giraffe. Did you get it correct? They get a point, something like that. And then it's very important for you to take a turn so the child sees you run through all the groups. And then it's very important for the child to take a turn and they run through all, not the groups, but the different areas. So that's how I like to play with my older kids when we are just learning about how to define vocabulary words, how do we differentiate vocabulary words, what are all the parts we need to consider. So this is an awesome way to play with older kids. We are moving on to articulation, speech. Now this is for a 2-year-old all the way up to a 12-year-old. How do we target speech, especially if you have a mixed group in a school? How do you target speech while other children are working on language, or you want to play a game and work on speech? So you're at the phrase level, sentence level, or structured conversation level, and your speech practice. You can just play the game. If the child has no language concerns, you can just play the game and think about, what is the child's sound? Is it F? Are they working on F? Are they working on S? Are they working on T? And think of a carrier phrase. So let's say your child's working on D. So you might say, does it have a whatever? And they have to ask a yes/no question. Let's say you're working on S. You could say, is my something an animal? You know, just think about the child's sound. Be creative. Think about how you can target that sound in a carrier phrase. And everyone has to say that phrase before they take a turn. Okay, so that's how I would work on it for articulation. All right, guys, so that is my headbands tips of the day. If you have any questions, of course, again, just leave comments here or head over to speechtherapytalk.com. I hope I gave you some fresh ideas, and I hope that I made my fellow speech therapists start to think, I don't need a ton of stuff. What can I use that targets everybody's goals? Or if you're a traveling speech therapist like me, that you can use one game for a lot of your kids, so you don't need to carry around too much junk. All right, thanks. Have a great day.